Early dusk? It just looks like blue to me. And as they say, the bluest skies you've ever seen are in Seattle. No, I'm not trying to piss off people in every other city. That line is from the 1968 song, Seattle. It's a bit of a relic now, but at the time it was quite well known, since it was the theme tune for the popular TV series Here Come the Brides. Hi, I'm Irene, and this is Inkworks. These arting and inking videos might not change the world, but at least you'll walk away having learned something. For example, the song Seattle was covered by several artists, including Perry Como and Bobby Sherman. In my research for this topic, I even discovered another version by Connie Smith, who was entirely unknown to me. Apparently, she was around in the 60s and 70s performing country, western, and gospel music. That explains why I hadn't heard of her, because I keep at least 30 yards away from both of those genres. Now that I've offended not only all non-Seattleites, but country and religious folk too, let's talk about that ink on display. Early Dusk is another standard ink from Diamine's 2023 Ink Vent collection. In case you missed previous videos, I was recently gifted all 25 of those inks. Now I'm entering them into my also gifted plotter journal. I'm just going in the original calendar order, but eventually I'll organize the pages according to color groupings. That's the advantage of a ring-bound system. You can rearrange and replace pages whenever you like. The paper is Sansen's Tomoe River in 68-gram weight and A5 size. A hole punch tool was thoughtfully packed with the binder, so if I want to add another brand or type of paper, it would be easy enough. Look, I'm no mathematician. When you say, this paper is 68 grams per square meter, I shrug my shoulders, arch an eyebrow, and say, okay. Just like when someone says the air quality is measured by micrograms of particulate matter per cubic meter. Shoulder shrug, eyebrow arch, okay. You might have noticed the safety measure of the dish under the ink bottle. I usually try to protect my work surface from little accidents, although not sure what I was thinking there. I mean, when it comes to preventing spills, a shot glass works way better than a shallow dish. Thankfully, I've only had one major spill on this desk. No biggie. I just scooped the ink back into the bottle, along with whatever else was on the surface. One of these days, I'll forget about it, fill a demonstrator with Diamine's Sherwood Green, and wonder where all the little floaties came from. Hopefully, it doesn't lead me to sending Diamine a letter demanding a refund and quality control investigations. The tools I use in this series are a Pilot parallel pen, a Kakimori brass nib, and a Princeton Neptune brush. The transcription is from the Food Lover's Companion, specifically the 3rd edition. It's a handy little reference book of culinary terms. My copy is more than 20 years old, but I understand they are up to a greatly updated 5th edition. Some months ago, I started an Ink Color Family series. There were separate videos for green, red, purple, and brown, but I've yet to get around to the blues. Otherwise, they'd be fresh in my mind, and I could tell you what my favorite blue ink is. Like I hinted at earlier, this color doesn't scream early dusk to me, but that's okay. Of the crimes being committed all around the world, Overly whimsical color names are pretty low on the list. That's right, other things bug me a whole lot more, like seeing somebody rearrange furniture while barefoot. Look, I'm 56 years old. I've seen things that would have your hair stand on end. For example, my own big toenail lying torn and bloody on the living room carpet. I didn't even feel it until my brother dropped his end of the couch and, while pointing a shaking finger, said, Irene, what is that? Apparently, there wasn't quite enough foot clearance when I yanked the couch toward me. Gotta admit, picking up an entire toenail was sorta surreal. Mesmerized fascination is the best way I can describe the experience. Like when I fished my kidney stone from the toilet bowl. You can forget about birthdays and anniversaries. Retrieving body parts, those are the moments that stick with you. But enough about pain and suffering. I'm sitting here all comfy cozy in my new velour loungewear, in the color blue, funnily enough. You might recall velour being a thing during the early 2000s, but actually it first became popular during the 1970s. So I do feel like a throwback in this stuff. But it's been a good decade since my comfort took precedence over style, so clothing that stretches in every direction is my best friend. Just the other night, I was watching Samantha Brown hawking her luggage on the Home Shopping Network. Well, a YouTube video from 3 months ago, actually. The point is, it fed my travel dreams to the point where I was all, I'll have the 22-inch carry-on, the underseat tote bag, and the 25-inch suitcase, all in olive green tweed. But then they whipped out a matching scarf, which wasn't just a boring, skimpy scarf. No, it was a triple-purpose scarf, shawl, and blanket. Man, if I'd seen that 3 months ago, and if I'd had any real money, as opposed to imaginary money, I could have been in trouble. Phew, close call. Sure, the bluest skies you've ever seen may or may not be in Seattle, but half a century later, it's still a catchy tune. One of my favorite bands, Game Theory, recorded a version in 1986. But in my opinion, they stripped a lot of the tunefulness from it. What was left was, I'm sad to say, kinda miserable. And Game Theory did misery much better in other songs, such as Regenus Rain, which managed to feel both forlorn and uplifting. So when all is said and done, my personal favorite version of Seattle is the 1969 cover by Connie Smith. And that's for a couple of reasons. 1, Connie's lovely voice, of course, and 2, the tasteful arrangement, which sounds more retro classy than retro cheesy. Of course, any song can sound retro creepy if played at 3/4 speed. Imagine this concept for a horror film. A Californian inherits a haunted mansion in Seattle, and every night she's woken up by faint, whispery singing. The bluest skies you've ever seen are in Seattle. And she's eventually driven to insanity while screaming, "Get it right! The bluest skies are in San Francisco. It's all about the particulate matter." I'm happy to share this inking session. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember to don footwear before rearranging the furniture. And stay artsy, my friends.